Listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right, here we go again. Buckle up. Rough roads ahead. I didn't quite work out in the store the way I planned. But, I got to do some research, wasted some gas. That's not cool. So, Neely and the house, the unhoused people, it could be the House people. They could be the people that are actually part of our legislative affairs inside, or the real legislative affairs where we should be, and then they get cursed because they're hurt inside. So there's a lot going on the planet to upside down it and make the nobody somebody and the somebody's nobody, based upon what the nobodies say a somebody is. Because like Trump, he's very intelligent, right? Not in your wildest dreams. He steals shit from people and then kills the people he steals it from because he can't deal with it. Because he's such an ignoramus. That's one of his psychological disorders. He wants people to help him, but he feels bad about his ignorance and the other person's intelligence. So he tries to take them out. He'll have all sorts of other reasons. That's built into their cycle of insanity. So he could have been cursed inside. In other words, they found me somehow. I was a inside power, and they found me, and they're trying to kill me. They have a bunch of things they go through to do that. But I knew nothing. I was still asleep. So Neely could have been hurt inside. I guess he was a big man. I've seen indications, of course, being that Michael Jackson impersonator makes him possibly somebody. Right. Again, we don't ascribe to the nobody and the somebody system, but the nobodies do that have money, and they call that being great. Everybody pretty much you have in positions on this planet are actually nobodies by their own standards. They're just propped up by a system of evil. Well, there's people on the side that are actually powering your programs. That's why they don't want people to wake up, to realize that they're actually powering the programs that politicians are putting out there. Like I said, when Madonna did the Malawi thing, everybody that was behind her, supporting her, was part of that power. She couldn't do it without the people. In fact, she may have been the smaller part of the power. She's just the face for it. So again, we have a situation that requires healing, a real healing. There are ways of moving the earth know if this is planet Earth again. I don't want to call it Earth. This planet forward through physical methods. Bought that pranking. They bought gaslighting and what's the other thing? Crazy thinking, so they can dumb down what they're actually doing. I mean, anytime it causes suicide, it's no longer gaslighting or crazy making. It's no longer prank. It's murder. The people that did this to my life did it dozens of other times, some maybe less. But the spy master did thousands of times, killed hundreds and hundreds of people, disabled hundreds and hundreds of people, caused homelessness in hundreds and hundreds of people. They know the outcomes. There's no oops. It's not street justice whatsoever. It's all moving at all times. So again, when I eventually do speak out, they say we're doing it because he spoke out. Actually, they said I spoke out before I ever said anything. So it's built into the scam. And if you say anything, then you're crazy. But I mean, you got to be crazy not to say anything once you realize what it is. A lot of people die before they realize what it is, or they're in the middle of an incarceration. And it's not the level of person they do it to. That's what it does. The other people that survive through it, it's a setup to make them believe that there's a way to survive through it. And most of them know there isn't. It's just, willful ignorance. So Neely was definitely metaphysically cursed to that, and there's a possibility that he was physically cursed to it or physically operated to it. All it takes is some guy's girlfriend to think something nice about you, like Trump and Giuliani type people. And there's, Democrats, I'm not going to make this political, that are the same way. If a girl they likes something about you, they want you dead. I'm sure Trump has ordered people killed over and over again. He's a crime boss. But he's a crime boss of a crime nation. Again, I try to explain to you all nations and how they work. And how God views each nation. So if nations are before God, does that say the United States is going to be before God? Not as the United States, because it's a collective of warring tribes. There's no law and order here. So each one of those warring tribes is considered another nation. So there is a nation within law enforcement. And it's not doing too well in the judgment phase. Again, Jesus tried to educate everyone as how being a respecter of persons doesn't work. And why is that? Because there's a metaphysic. There are people like me. They won't physically let me do anything or get anywhere. But I sit inside and do more charity work than anybody else on the planet. I guarantee it. So again, you can't just put somebody in a house. Now, some people can. Obviously, there's people that are just, down on their luck type of thing. They're maybe younger. They haven't been abused. When we see Neely, you should see somebody in Ezekiel 34 that's a victim. Now, they don't want to talk. Tucker Carlson doesn't want to talk about that. Who's some of the other people that are supporting him or hiding? Hiding. They don't want to talk about the truth. They hate it. But like they want us to think that they're the Christians. Tucker Carlson knows he can will things. I guarantee it. And he knows he can destroy somebody with his will. And if that doesn't work, he hires some professional investigators. So it's not by accident what's happening. I brought that up in the beginning when I woke up. I said everybody's medicated because they're using this witchcraft. And I guess I hinted towards, because I don't think it was as big a term back then, crazy making and gaslighting. So people in each one of these communities is hired on as that crazy person. Now, there are some people that are just metaphysically there, part of that thing through connection to Satan, maybe even calling it Jesus or God. And they will move in concert with those people also. I think what happened in my life is because I was a tough guy sapper, they all just assumed I was one of the trashy people like they were. And that's how I got where I did. I mean, not in a million years would I ever think that my job in the government was to be a piece of shit that lies and sets people up, including my coworker. Because that's what's going to get me a Bronco, a Caribbean vacation, a house, another house. Who's that? Is that one of your people trying to get my attention? Thank you, Larry. So again, Satan will pay them. Just as I said that an ambo flew down the road towards the hospital. Thank you. But sometimes there's physical payment. Now, I don't know why, Trump, the king of the Bible, I think those people are fake. There's no way they can believe that Trump's a Christian and this biblical genius. I think they're there to piss everybody off against Trump. And to figure out who this was. She knew me. She ran inside. She probably didn't know me. She freaked out. Ah! He's a stranger. She was probably waiting for somebody to pull up or something. So Neely didn't get there overnight, and he's not going to get out of it overnight. And you're going to have people that are going to commit crimes in this entire thing. Oh, there she is. She's going upstairs with somebody. Well, she might be making money. Oh. Thought I was a client or something. I'm naive. I've been around prostitutes, didn't even know they're prostitutes. until like one moment, and they were like embarrassed because the John was there asking them something. I tried to get away from it as quick as I could so they wouldn't be embarrassed. But it's going to take time. There's going to be issues in the entire thing. But what it takes is that resocialization because they spent time messing up their social connection. And all it takes is for somebody to get jealous, somebody with some, demonic connections to professional investigators. If she's up there alone, she's not with somebody. What? I don't know you, do I? Maybe she needs a ride somewhere. Oh, maybe she thinks I'm a cab because I'm driving around. Oh, shoot, I got to go park. Just think I'm a ride share. So what we have to do is heal them. And you can't pray for somebody and have it work if you have this street justice mentality. Because I guarantee Neely's going to have done something in his life that you think he should pay in hell for. Or here's an example. Let's say Neely would treat gay people well. And you hate gay people and hate people that treat gay people well. He'd never get up out of there to treat gay people well, to get to a life where maybe he's a counselor for gay people or something like that. So again, that's some of what's happening. You have to you have to treat them with the right respect, even in stressful situations. When you bring them into these programs, you have to reconnect them. You have to bring all that trauma out and have them put it aside. You can't be part of that because all your systems are part of what traumatized them. It's corrupt. It's people are in there that are trash. It shouldn't even be there. The spirit is grieved by those things. Their spirits are hurt, and that's not going to heal until you heal it. And if you walk around all day thinking people get what they work for, that's what these rich people do that cause everybody else's life to fail. Well, those people are just lazy. That's going to kill them worse because remember, they're already down. You can do that to your mother or your brother or somebody down the street that has some things in life like a house, a car, family, friends. But somebody like Neely, it's just going to kill him further. And he's going to say, see, this is the life that they get for what they've done. Remember, you said that in hell because God will probably most likely remind you, but maybe you want to remember on your own before you get there. So again, you can't just put people in a house or in an apartment or even in an institution and have them have anything well within their life if you don't make way for that well. Because it took a village to break their life, therefore it's going to take a village to fix it. So you have to take Ezekiel 34 and say, this is what happened. This is why they're there. It has nothing to do with them. They became this meat for every beast of the field. I mean, can you see the beasts of the field? You know, Trump, Giuliani, and there are others. A lot of wealthy Democrats think they're special people, that they're there, you know, that in a place where people should serve them, and that they're better than anybody that's not there. You have to get rid of that mind, or you can't do it. A lot of people will say, well, that sounds like socialism. Well, it sounds like Jesus. And if you've been in any places of faith, you'll find, like real serious places of faith, you'll find that that's what they try to present themselves as, because that's what the scriptures say. But they're not that. They'll work for a deep state boss in a second. Now, as far as deep state, Trump not being a victim of a deep state, he's victim of the deep state. Corruption. I saw that in a news article. I can't get with that part. But yet Trump is the deep state. If it wasn't for deep state corruption, Strzok would have never pushed the buttons to go further. And there was a couple other people in there. But again, he tried pulling back, and then Mueller pushed him forward. So again, there's people we don't know, and I guess maybe that's McCabe. I don't know. Again, deep state corruption said you make your way into the case. That's the most corrupt thing in the world. Sometimes I said, yeah, but where we are today, don't do it. It kills. They use that to kill people, to cause disability, to force somebody to live in an extended stay and say, this is the weird part. They mess it up so you have to live in an extended stay and then say, look, isn't that weird? He lives in an extended stay. So it is deep state corruption, because that's what you all ended up calling it. But it is corruption. The Bible speaks of corruption without the term deep state. So Neely didn't get there on his own. And that day when he broke down, he didn't get there on his own. Somebody cursed him. You can watch them, and again, it's not everybody, but you watch people spit. They'll walk by Neely and they'll spit on the ground. They're spitting on him in the spiritual world. I had a cop do that to me after he came to a call where I helped save someone's life. Because he's part of that Naples bullshit. The Satan set in Naples. I love using SS to describe who they are. That's how the Waffen SS came to power. Secret society. So once upon a time, they would make stuff up to get into a case where there was real exigent circumstance. And then eventually that just grew into the way of doing business, because they're just corrupt, period. They can't really investigate. They can't, there's something before investigation, and that's stopping crime. Healing crime so it doesn't exist. It could be done. I've done it over the years. I've gotten things fixed, and you all broke me and broke it at the same time. I go, oh, we broke him. I mean, that's how boneheaded, how ignorant, how trashy they are. That's how their mind works. They work for Satan. And if you accept them, you'll go to hell with them, because you're part of Babylon, all of you. For people that go to church every Sunday, you're mighty ignorant. Every last one of you. Notice my preacher voice came on. It's one of my voices that I preach in inside. I was going to drive by and make sure that woman's okay. Because she wasn't in her room. She was in front of a room, making it look like it was her room. So I don't know. Thank you, Look, and there's something stopping me from doing it. I've never had so this is metaphysics. I'm trying to back up, and I never have trouble backing up generally. And I to save my life, I'm having this. I couldn't save my life backing up, but I was trying to save my life. Maybe it would work. So again, something's blocking me from that. That's a metaphysics. So if Neely's walking down the street, and we all know, how many of us exist that we know Neely was killed and we didn't want him killed? Now, if you hate Marines, if you hate conservatives, if you hate something about Mr. Penny, I mean, hate and want something to happen to him, or prove a point that, this type of person, this white person, this whatever it is, you're part of that thing that couldn't save Neely. Or that wouldn't let Neely be saved. There's enough healing power to fix that, so it wouldn't have happened. Because obviously Neely's famous enough in his death to have been saved in his life. So again, you might be a black person and you're obsessed with white people doing things to black people, and our healing of Neely from the future, we would have touched back and Neely would have taken a different direction in life. So we couldn't even heal him. You in your life, things happen from the future to fix your life in the past. In metaphysics, there's no time or space. Got to turn back in here, and I'm too tight here. Let me go back around one more time. So there's a whole lot going on in those cases. You're not, in fact, there are people that curse people every day and decide something about that person's life that should be negative. That's why you can't fix the homeless problem also, because they don't want it fixed. So not only is that person being cursed to be homeless, to be unhoused, they're cursing you to failure as you try to fix it. Again, if you think about Jesus, and they're beating him and he's carrying his cross and they're spitting on him and they're jeering at him. That's what's going on. Yeah, they'll speak about the homeless and the liberals and what they're all in. They won't call them homeless. They'll use some other choice words about it or for it. So again, the church that wins the race is the church that doesn't have to shoot somebody, the church that doesn't have to wrestle somebody. And I told you how it worked. So I brought that up over the years. I said, and that's why I had trouble in church, because they were so angry at me, saying, look, people are cursing and psychologically operating people to these things in these churches. That's why your churches are being shot. And I said, some of you can't live without that happening, because you're the victim of somebody coming in and shooting you. You're going to out-victimize yourself just to be bigger than the other victims or something like that. But for years I said, look, it's not something to be proud of that you shot somebody in a church. What about the power of prayer? And I said, I've had enough experience with corrupt FBI people and Homeland Security and all that, to think maybe that was a setup, that he would come in with the gun and then Jack would be the hero. And Jack himself may have willed it up. And I don't know Jack, and I've told you that for years in Texas at that church. But Jack himself could have willed that to happen, because when he came in, I don't like that guy. Something wrong with him. That kind of thing. And then willed it up, and it happened because Jack was the chief of security, and they're all big and they're all famous now. But then there was a church where you watched the preacher sneak around the pulpit. There was a guy with a gun, and the preacher sneaks around the back of the pulpit and grabs the guy, and they all rest on the ground. And I said, wow, see, that's what we want. We don't want to have to kill somebody. And then God, put the thought in my mind and said, well, one step better. Wouldn't it be better if that was prayed away and it never happened? And God said, the church, and God didn't say the church that wins the race. And a lot of times when you're thinking with God, it doesn't really have words. It just has thoughts. But the idea is the church that does what, what they're supposed to do, and they're trying to stop me from speaking. And that's what this is. That's a curse on me. Somebody's real time listening and cursing me. They would spit on me and beat me and crucify me physically if they could. But the church that succeeds is the one that doesn't have to shoot somebody. The one that doesn't have to wrestle somebody to the ground. Because they had the faith of a mustard seed. And they didn't have a race in the horse or the horse in the race of this chaos and calamity of one against another. So, blessed is the unknown church that heals and prays all of that violence away. Does it exist? Only God knows. So the church that wins the race is the church that doesn't have to shoot somebody or wrestle somebody to the ground. They want you to believe the other way around because, Trump is going to be president a second time. And when that happens, it'll be like the rapture. And I don't like picking on Trump, but, he's picked on enough people, including me, with his professional investigators. So again, the way to fix it is metaphysically, but there are physical things you can do because it's status on the planet. I call people don't know, I call people sir and ma'am for a specific spiritual reason, to elevate them. So I would see Mr. Neely, I'd say, hi, yes, sir, no, sir. You see? So these are the things that our people would need to pick up to fix the problem. Because they have hurled insults. They have jeered and crucified the people into homelessness. So we need to start compensating for that. And we need to uplift them with our words, with our actions, with our attitudes. They show you the people in the White House that cook. They show you bellhops and waiters and waitresses. And, there's a customer, right? There's a big man or a big woman. Yes, sir. No, sir. That's how I treat unhoused people. Unless maybe I get to know them a little better and, we're just kind of a neutral thing going. And they'd say, thank you. And I say, no, thank you for the opportunity to do this for you. It's a blessing. So you see, you elevate those in Ezekiel 34, and I'm sorry, I apologize, I don't remember the other scripture that Jesus used. It's kind of like Jesus' version of Ezekiel 34. So again, they all know. That's why they killed me. They don't want anybody to know. Supposedly you can't speak about it. Never heard such nonsense in my life. You can't speak about the truth. They know how the system works to harm people. They knew I had the antidote to help people. So it takes a lot of work. We have to develop a new language in our shelters, in our housing of those that are destitute locations, in our urban plight communities. And I'm getting into the next subject, and I think that'll probably mostly be tomorrow. However, the social workers, they're very important. Why do we have a police department of officers and not have a social department of social workers that patrol? Now, don't sit in an office and figure out where, call up your favorite person and say, where are we going to lunch? Already figuring out lunch at 8 o'clock in the morning or 8:30 in the morning. While you sit at breakfast, right? Then it leaves about an hour of work on each side of the noon. That's how people in the government work. So you need a department the size of the police department, not of just social workers who sit in their office or some that make visits. They need to patrol. They need to know who's on that street that needs help. They need to look at somebody and say, that person needs help today. Or at least I think they do, so I'm going to say hello. And it's not odd for them to say hello, because that's what we're going to do. And we're going to put them in the schools, and they'll go to the schools and they'll talk to the children. Not just a police officer, because once the police officer enters into the equation, they have to make a decision. Do I want my friend arrested or not? We don't want to go there if we don't have to. And if we do it right, we won't get there. And the others won't get there. God woke me up because Satan was increasing upon the planet. And they killed me for it. Although had already been killing me for it. Like I said, I was moving healing hands before I woke up. I was moving high signs and gestures. Had no clue. Thought I was fidgety. That's a sin in itself, that one of the biggest healers that's ever been upon the planet didn't even know that healing existed. That he was healing the entire time. At least as far as I know. You could have your opinion of me all you like. The evidence is online. The evidence is what has happened when I healed, blessed, and moved power into something. Not some BS that some professional investigator put out there or caused. They'll go straight to hell, man. You get away from those people. You're not going to stand before God if you're with those professional investigators that do what we know they do. You are not going to see God. You're going straight to hell, all of you. You ever wonder where that came from? Isn't that funny? Go straight to hell. You know what that means? Do not pass God. You're already judged, all of you. Jesus has judged you. God has judged you. Again, you all desired to reverse that. Satan's doing the reversal thing. It's part of their psychological operation, part of their spells. And it didn't work this time. Now, for me, I know you receive, and I know you're receiving that inference, and that's why you're putting it back on me. But that's coming from God, not me. I don't judge you, God does. I speak for God so you can hear. Because having eyes you see not, having ears you hear not. But when I said God has judged you, Jesus has judged you, it's like it had what I've told you. God told me one day I was speaking, and they kept projecting, judge not, lest ye be judged. God said, let's get this out of the way. God said, say, judge me. I said, judge me. God said, righteous. Now keep going. I've been judged by God. And this time, this was additional information, which is a good sign for Kansas, but I don't know. You know, calm before the storm, who knows? The up before the down. But I heard that's why you're in this position saying these things to the world. Because I've already judged you. We've already judged you. And again, we is big. It's not just Jesus and God. Again, I dumb things down for this planet. It's an amazing thing, the spirit world. I wish I had a real life and I could have been like Mr. Fillmore over there at Unity in Missouri. Because I really had the mother lode of information and could provide vision for people to see these things. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. I'll speak on the social workers some more. It's a wondrous program if we can ever get it forward. And I think maybe a church man, if he's honest, makes mayor in Chicago, he may be able to get it moving. But the law enforcement also needs additional access to surveillance, but not corrupt surveillance. Surveillance that's there that we can access when we need it. So we don't have to run after everybody. We don't have to drive after everyone. We can just say, okay, we know who this is. We know where they're going. Believe me, we missed a big thing when we never got or we never were able to transfer the drones from the Air Force to the police departments in our major cities. We aren't going to shoot anybody, but at least we can see where somebody's going or where somebody is versus having to run with lights and sirens all over the place and get all hyped up and then somebody kills them. See, the chase causes the officer, they talk about de-escalation. The officer, they don't teach the officers sufficient de-escalation. And part of de-escalation is not having the escalation to begin with, and a vehicle chase causes escalation. So again, they're killing a lot of my projects because there are dirty officers that know they operate somebody and then cause them to flee. They will it, they psychologically torture somebody, and when they go to pull them over, they flee. And then they shoot them. So the law enforcement chase for some officers is a mechanism of murder. I guess I did say that, huh? Say that again. So again, that's if you wonder why a lot of it doesn't go anywhere, that's why. They're also killing out other officers. There's a lot to it. If you stress an officer out and he gets in a chase, like if the deep state does their stuff, like I yelled F you at somebody. That's like as bad as I got. But it could cause them to kill someone. And then you could put so again, if an officer kills someone, you've noticed some go to jail, some get off scot free. That's a scam. Now, I think in Chauvin's case, he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time because I think he was covered, unless he was being victimized by the deep state at the time. I guess it's one they couldn't fix. The guy in Minneapolis, Muhammad, what was his name? Well, I think that was the problem. His name was Muhammad, so he ended up going to jail because 911 lost control of the caller. That's what happened there. Because his name was Muhammad, nobody stood up for him. Bunch of sucks in the police department. But that weighs heavy on everything. If we don't, again, that's the truth of that. We have to get to the truth to fix things. So 911 is very important, and 911 needs to maintain control of the callers. If you haven't fixed that, fix it. Of course, there are some situations where it goes chaotic because of the nature of crime and violence and domestic and all those type of things. But when we can contain control, she should never have left that house until she was told to by the dispatch or if the officers approached her. She called a violent crime in a dark alley. Now, Muhammad may have been a target, a victim of the deep state to begin with. So they don't really care, right? They don't fix it. They break it further because they laugh because they got money and they got extortion. Again, they have dossiers on key people in all the police departments and all the political positions. And when they need to use it, they use it. The world's a mafia. That's pretty much what it is. Government, church, it's all mafia. But they use spycraft as their weapons generally. But of course, they're also witches, devils, demons, antichrists, witches, and sorcerers. Well, stay peaceful. We need a social army of people to help the police, because then the police don't. What happens? The police have less issue in their life when that's happening. They can't. A lot of them can't say anything because it's considered liberal. But they want those social workers out there. They want them fixing things that they don't have to fix, and then it doesn't break to the point that they have to respond. I've kind of did that on and off. I didn't even know I was really doing that. And when it came to mind to have a social worker army or department, it didn't connect. That's what I was kind of doing. You know, God tells me there's this one guy. I gave him money because he was on a corner or something doing something, and he goes, "I got a job." And it's like getting mad at me, right? But God told me something happened in his life, and he needed that money, and God brought it to his mind because he just came up in my head again. I was in New York and I was giving money away. Yeah, not 20s. I told you I had to run after the one guy. Guy goes, "Give that guy money." He's trying to get money from people, but he's moving so fast. I'm walking away from me, from person to person. I'm like, "Hey, hey!" And I said, "Here, I've been trying to catch you to give you this." He has a big smile on his face. That was like 2004 or something. I healed this diseased guy. Oh my God. I think it was just monstrous, whatever was consuming him. Like it came out my mouth. It was just, I mean, it happens. It's like a spiritual event. but it's like I'm breathing to breathe it out so it doesn't overcome me because you can do that's a trigger. That's a physical trigger on earth that causes a metaphysical thing. So I have my hands spread like you do in a healing, and and I just thought I was going to breathe it out a little bit, all of a sudden my mouth just expands and I'm like a snake, trying to eat or something. And this thing's like just huge spiritual thing in that breath. Because if I didn't, it would take me down. So I had to breathe it out while I was healing it. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do.